Matt Mayoko came out to report that Brandon Staley has interviewed for the defensive coordinator job. Nick Sorensen has also interviewed. He would be an in-house hire. And they're going to interview Daniel Bullocks a little bit later on this week. And so those are three absolutely by the team identified candidates for defensive coordinator. And there are two others that Kyle Shanahan did not want to talk about. Who are those two others? Well, it feels like it would come from this group of five, right? The five being Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, very much a long shot. Probably all three of those are long shots. Jeff Ulbrich and Chris Kiffin. I'm guessing that the two other unidentified interviews are coming from that group of five. And it really feels like the defensive coordinator that the 49ers are looking for is going to come from one of the two names yet to be identified. Because, look, maybe Daniel Bullocks is going to be one of the up-and-coming defensive minds in football history. I don't know. And the point is, neither do the 49ers. Nick Sorensen also falls into the category of you might be the right guy for the job, but the fact that you don't have the ability to hit the ground running with past defense coordinator knowledge. The last thing that the San Francisco 49ers need is someone doing anything for the first time. Can we all agree on that? This is a team that is in, let's call it what it is. It's an unenviable position. Anything other than winning a Super Bowl is a regression. That is a really tough cave to live in, isn't it? Think about living with that pressure. Anything other than being named Best Picture at this year's Academy Awards means your movie flopped. No matter how much money it made, no matter how much people liked it, no matter how much critics reviewed and raved about it, no matter your Rotten Tomatoes score, if you didn't win Best Picture, your movie sucked. This is the world. This is the very unique universe that Kyle Shanahan has built for himself, and they need to live in this universe because it's theirs. They own it. Anything other than winning a Super Bowl is a regression. So if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I am not giving this job to a first-timer. No matter how much I believe in them, no matter what I think they might be someday, this is just not the inflection point for a first-time anyone, anything, anywhere within the 49ers organization. You know, it's the wrong offseason to replace Joan in payroll. You don't need a new Joan, another Joan. You need crusty, veteran, savvy Joan in payroll, okay? So no time for anything new. No new guys. No new friends. Brandon Staley. Maybe overcast, over-assumed that he could carry a movie by himself as the lead actor. He's not cut out to be the head coach that he hoped he would be. As a defensive coordinator, he has won a Super Bowl. Now, Brandon Staley spent so much time being a national punchline with the Chargers that doesn't feel like the name any 49er fan would want. But of the three names identified, Brandon Staley, Nick Sorensen, and Daniel Bullocks, Brandon Staley in that group of three is number one with a bullet. Right? Number one, if you got to hire one of those three guys to go forward with, give me the guy who's done it. No first timers. But beyond Brandon Staley, I am much more interested in the two yet to be identified defensive coordinator candidates more than I am on the other guys. It feels like the 49ers have released their list of, here's who we've talked to. It's not going to be them. That's what that feels like, at least to me right now. We will see if this gets done this week. Everyone's kind of waiting for this to get done this week, and hopefully it does get done this week because you want all hands on deck for combine, for draft prep, And that will get us to a couple of other NFL stories here in just a moment. It doesn't seem like the Denver Broncos are going to be friends much longer with Russell Wilson. All signs are pointing to this divorce happening and happening soon. Saw a story on ESPN today. Denver Broncos coach Sean Payton this morning said that a decision on Russell Wilson's future with the team will come within the next 2 weeks. In other words, we are going to this combine. We are going to kick our can around and see if we like any quarterbacks we think will be there for us. And if we do, we are moving on, basically, is if we can interpret what was just said there. Many in the league have believed that the Broncos would release Wilson since the quarterback was benched with 2 games remaining in the season. Payton announced just after Christmas that Wilson would be benched in favor of Jared Stidham for the December 31st game against the Chargers. Stidham, he also started the season finale on January 7th, and the Broncos, even though they went 1-1 in those games, they were 2 of the worst offensive performances of their 4 worst offensive performances and point outputs of the entire year. They scored 16 points in a win and 14 points in a loss to the Raiders. And look, I mean, where are we with Russell Wilson? It's pretty simple. It feels like we're at the end. Certainly his time in Denver feels like it's coming to an end. It's going to go down as one of the worst trades. Certainly, it is the worst contract and the worst trade in the history of the Denver Broncos. It might be the worst contract and trade in the history of the AFC. Maybe there'd be an NFC trade or two that would trump that. I'd have to look at all of it. I really, really would. But it goes down as one of the worst contracts ever. A 5-year, $242.6 million contract. On that alone, it would be bad because it hasn't worked out. You add the players and the draft picks that they included to get the deal done with the Seahawks. It's awful. It's awful. An awful contract. If the Broncos release Wilson, the team's going to take on $85 million in dead money cap charges over the next 2 seasons. I mean, that is bad. When you'd rather eat $85 million over 2 years than see another down of football out of this guy, it ain't good. Sean Payton was brought in to fix Russell Wilson. And within like a month of being around Russell Wilson, it was pretty obvious Sean Payton wasn't going to look to fix Russell Wilson as much as he was going to look to get rid of Russell Wilson. There is nothing between those two guys that seems to really be on its same page or working or liking of each other. Russ is still saying all the right things, trying to be, popular in Denver. Russ wants to be liked by everybody. I don't think there's anybody in Denver that is excited about another year of Russell Wilson in the Mile High City. So it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Russell Wilson at Denver Broncos prices is a disaster. Russell Wilson on veteran minimum prices is something other teams will be interested in. I actually think he would be a very good stopgap for the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, I could see him fitting in there a little bit. I really do. Not a long-term solution. Raiders should be drafting a quarterback and looking to groom him for the future as well. But you need something, and that something can't be Jimmy Garoppolo. It's probably not going to be Aiden O'Connell. You know what I mean? So, kind of an interesting thing happening there. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.